Oh, welcome back, everyone. If you're just tuning in now, we're going into Game 2 of Execration versus TnC. And Game 1, certainly an interesting start. Execration decided to go for a Meepo strat, sort of a pocket strat. People tend to forget about this hero, Meepo, but as we saw in the last game, if executed correctly, they are going to basically rax you at 20 minutes and end the game there. I think TnC did a good job considering the draft that they had. Obviously, they weren't completely prepared for the Meepo as they had some heroes that weren't good against Meepo at all. They had the Nature's Prophet, Phantom Lancer, Spectre. These heroes might be popular heroes nowadays, but against Meepo, which certainly they weren't ready for, they had a good start. They had an okay start at least, but once Meepo calmly just waited until he had those core items like the Aghanim Sector, Boost of Travel, and the Blink Dagger, and the key timing being the Aegis, where they won the team fight, took the Aegis, and went straight for the racks. And there simply wasn't anything that TnC were able to do. We're going to go straight to the draft here. As TnC, I'm sure they are not too happy about last game's performance, rather the draft. They're going to first ban Meepo. Wise choice. Even though the Meepo was sort of last pick for Execution in terms of the second pick, they weren't able to, they simply couldn't be ready for the Meepo, so they're just going to ban it out straight up.
5 seconds remaining.
Execration though, now that the Meepo is banned, they're going to have to be prepared with more strategies. The Meepo, it's going to work once, but it's like a one guaranteed win if you execute it correctly, but afterwards they're either going to not ban the Meepo and have counters to it, or as we were seeing with TnC, they're just going to ban the Meepo. And I like this from TnC because it's kind of saying, you guys beat us with Meepo when we weren't ready. We're just going to get rid of this hero right now and show us something we haven't seen. Execration, their turn for the first pick this game. I'm wondering if they're still going to value the Invoker, as the Invoker plus the Enchantress was their choice from last game. Taking their sweet time, meaning they're probably thinking between at least 2 to 3 heroes right now.
10 seconds remaining.
Could be the Invoker. I don't think Execration enjoy playing Nature's Prophet as much as TnC do, but could be a possibility because it would also deny TnC of their much preferred Nature's Prophet. Going into reserve time, not something that is too common with the first hero. We're going to see the Invoker, as we talked about. This game, however, because Execration don't have a Meepo, I think the Invoker is going to be pressured to play more of an impact. Not that he was not relevant last game, but it was kind of like on the back of Meepo. That's, I think, a big reason why Abed on the Invoker chose to go.
10 seconds remaining.
Actually, it was Abed playing the Meepo. It was Nando probably playing the Invoker.
Remaining. Reserve time.
See how TnC respond to this. Because last game, they wanted the Phantom Lancer to counter the Invoker. For this game, I think they might change their thinking process.
Radiant team
Bounty Hunter and Witch Doctor. I like the Bounty Hunter because last game it was with one of the heroes that were banned out, and TnC are quite known for the Bounty Hunter. It's not one of their top picks, but with Bounty Hunter, that means TnC can kind of have more freedom in picking their mid hero because the Bounty Hunter is going to put a lot of pressure on Invoker. And with the Earth Spirit and Enchantress being banned out, that means there's a less likely chance that Execration are going to have one of their own supports that can cancel out the pressure that TnC are going to apply to this Invoker.
Radiant team ban.
And Execration going to go for that Faceless Void again. obviously
back.
has some very good synergy with Invoker, but last game was kind of a special case where the Faceless Void got a solo lane versus Nature's Prophet, which meant more farm and more levels compared to the standard 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 for the Faceless Void.
5 seconds remaining.
Sven ban from the Execration side.
Reserve time.
I suppose even though Faceless Void can control the Sven with the Chrono, it simply, I mean, if Sven manages to get Warcry off or BKB off later on, that means his team can't really do anything to the Sven during Chrono. Like, he'll be immune to physical damage because he has 40 armor, and then he's going to be BKB, which means you can't really follow up with it with Invoker. Like, deafening meter under Chrono is something that they would like to do, but against the Sven, who farms so fast, it might not be the most realistic strategy. Interesting Alchemist ban from TnC, because that signals that they're thinking Execration could potentially run a safe lane Alchemist. I don't think we've seen too many safe lane Alchemists lately. Maybe here and there. I think MVP ran it once, but it wasn't one of their most common strats. But TnC just gonna ban it out. I think just banning out comfort heroes is a nice thing. I think TnC are in the line of thinking that if they just play normal Dota, they can outplay Execration. But if Execration are able to get their hands on something like a Meepo last game, one of the non-standard picks that they've practiced, then it could create a lot of confusion for TnC. Finally, Gyrocopter banned out from TnC. Wise choice, because I think Gyro plus Void might be too much teamfight for TnC right now, because Bounty Hunter, he's underrated in teamfights. I think a lot of people they assume that Bounty Hunter is not going to play a factor in teamfights, which is not true. However, in terms of like raw teamfight, doing damage, controlling heroes, it is true. So if Execration were able to get a Gyrocopter, that might make it so that it's kind of imbalanced for TnC to fight into Execration. And this game, PL is banned out from Execration. Even though they beat the PL last game with the Invoker versus PL matchup, they choose not to play against it.
Dire team pick.
I don't think it's going to be a Teehee Juggernaut, though. Juggernaut is not that good against Invoker, to my knowledge, unlike the Phantom Lancer. Execration with the Vengeful Spirit. I think this is more of a, I don't know what exactly to pick right now, because we need to see more cores from TnC. So Vengeful Spirit, kind of a safe pick. Synergizes pretty well with Invoker, because Invoker can just kind of do whatever. He can not care too much about positioning, and Vengeful will be there to swap him out. An Ember Spirit pick from Execration. I think this is the most interesting pick so far. First of all, they picked it into a Darkseer. I don't think Ember Spirit in the safe lane is going to have that good of a time versus Darkseer. It's obviously annoying. You can use your Iron Flame card, but it comes to a point where against that double Ion Shell creeps, your Flame Guard will kind of it'll get dispelled from the damage that Ion Shells do. And Vengeful is also not gonna be able to zone out the Darkseer too efficiently. But obviously they have something planned.
10 seconds remaining.
Possibly an AA pick. AA also not one of the popular heroes right now, but against Juggernaut Healing Ward, Witch Doctor heal, and the inevitable mechanism that they have to deal with in the mid game from Darkseer, it could be a very value pickup. Just my own preference. I really like seeing AA wombo combo lineups as like the Chrono into AA ult into Invoker spam with the Ember Spirit Sleight of Fist. that could be the end of team fight for Execration. TnC are going to finish up their draft with an OD, but because this is TnC, Execration have to figure out if it's going to be a mid Juggernaut or a mid OD. A lot of other teams run safe lane OD, but TnC is one of those teams where Teehee can just run the Juggernaut out of Teehee's comfort, like he's a master of the mid Juggernaut.
10 seconds remaining.
And with the Bounty Hunter roaming around, I could potentially see that working.
5
As the Bounty Hunters
remaining.
harass onto Invoker would give Juggernaut the time to close a gap and
Reserve
start
time.
using Blade Fury on top of the Invoker. However, though, as I mentioned in Game 1, OD is potentially a big annoyance for the Faceless Void because of the Astral while Chrono. If OD doesn't get Chrono, then he can Astral whoever gets Chronoed. And like, let's say you have a beautiful Chrono on top of like a Juggernaut plus a Bounty Hunter, then if OD can Astral the Juggernaut, then that means you basically have to prepare to fight into a Juggernaut with the full set of his abilities. Execration gonna take their sweet time. Their final pick. It's gonna be a support hero. They're just looking for the right one. They're gonna go with the Lion. Not the best hero at zoning out the Darkseer, but if they run some kind of semi-tri lane in the early game just to zone out the Darkseer, these heroes should be not easy, but they have enough tools to keep the Darkseer out of the lane. But I kind of worry for Execration in terms of their vulnerability against Bounty Hunter. Like Lion is a fragile hero that doesn't want to run into Bounty Hunter. Vengeful is okay because she's naturally tanky considering she's a support. But Bounty Hunter is a 4 position, and I think for Execration, Vengeful is going to be a 5 position, meaning Bounty Hunter simply will have more items than her.
Remaining.
TnC have interestingly not picked their heroes. They don't want to reveal their lanes. Game is paused, same as last game. People taking their sweet time, possibly to discuss strategy, where to run. But in this case, it looks like 2 of TnC's players have disconnected. Not sure why. They haven't really discussed to the admins about why they are pausing. I think it's pretty standard lanes for Execration, but for TnC, looks like it's actually a Raven OD. Raven was the Spectre last game. Mr. Wizard, he is going to the safe lane. OD is OD plus Witch Doctor should be enough to zone out the Void. Actually, OD is one of the much more annoying heroes to play against Faceless Void. I actually played a game today where Faceless Void against OD, and what happens is OD starts using Arcane Orb on you, and you get to a point where you don't have mana to use your time lapse. I think the laning assignments from TnC, it could backfire though, because Juggernaut, I can see Juggernaut and Bounty Hunter being able to overcome Invoker, but at the same time I feel like Invoker could just crush the Juggernaut. Especially if Execration make their own rotations to the mid lane. They can counterplay the Bounty Hunter aggression the Vengeful and Lion, pretty good heroes to stay back in the trees at the tier 1. Oh, here comes one of the TnC players. Now they are all here. Invoker, I want to see right away if he skills Exort for the Sunstrike scouting. My guess is that he will, because he has a face. He has so many setups. Basically, every hero on his team, other than himself, is a setup for Sunstrike. And yep, as soon as the game starts, he's gonna skill that Exort. TnC possibly having some technical issues here, as this time it looks like they're running towards the Dire jungle, their own jungle, instead of the Radiant jungle. Lion going to TP to the top lane to get a ward out. That's an interesting ward placement. It doesn't block the camp. It doesn't give too much vision where it actually matters. Like seeing into the lane, I don't think is the biggest deal. But looking at the Void's positioning this game, potentially it's actually an aggro from Execration. Bounty Hunter being scouted up, but I don't think Execration actually have a dust to be able to kill him.
30 seconds to battle.
I think Execration realized that the Bounty Hunter scouted them out at the Ancients area, so if they go for the top rune, they're just gonna have to fight into 5 TnC heroes. And they quickly change position so Invoker can get the bottom rune.
The battle begins.
Juggernaut gonna get the top rune and Invoker the bottom. But other than that, Execration still are going to stick with the plan, going aggro against TnC. I'm not sure how this will work out, as Witch Doctor OD. I guess OD isn't the strongest at low levels. I mean, he doesn't really have the sustain to spam Arcane Orb, and you don't want to be just auto-attacking versus 3 heroes anyway. The 4th boss of this game for what seems like no reason, but Bounty Hunter is going to just stick to the bottom and mid lane, what it seems. Speaking of which, I think this Darkseer should crush this Faceless Void by himself, meaning the Bounty Hunter AU can afford to just focus on the mid or top lane. If they win top, like because of the Bounty or rotations, that pretty much secures them so much power in the early game. Ember Spirit, one of the heroes that wants to get level 6 ASAP, but going aggro, sharing experience between 3 heroes, not having the most camps to pull from, like the usual 2 down to 1, and potentially that might be contested if TnC choose to ward it or body block it.
Not meant.
Cute Ion Shell farming from Bounty Hunter. I'm not sure why AU decided to hit the creeps, but oh, he wanted to pull or something. But this is really interesting to see. Bounty Hunter actually there stacking camps and getting Ion Shell. Gonna get some pretty good levels. And Faceless Void is going to be quite busy with his own laning to actually contest it. That's the beauty of it. Who's playing for TnC today? I think the usual people. Oh, Witch Doctor gonna get caught here. The Lion got Astral, but I don't think this is enough. First blood incoming. Yep, nice first blood. That could have been easier, but they kind of semi got juked there. And Invoker. Bounty Hunter gonna tank the tower for them. Yeah, nicely done by AU. Juggernaut was, interestingly enough, having much better CS than the Invoker. I'm not sure how that happened. Just T outskilling the Invoker possibly. He has more than double the CS of Invoker. That is actually fascinating. I understand that he has a poor man's shield, but Exort Invoker is just the nature of him having so much auto attack damage early on means that the poor man's shield is gonna reduce in effectiveness so much. This bottom lane, I think ZamH is crushing as expected against a melee hero like Faceless Void. Faceless Void, is he out of region? Yeah, he's close to being out of region, and this is kind of a problem because ZamH has that Soul Ring, and he still has his own Tango and a Salve, meaning Darkseer can stay in the lane so much, and if Faceless Void ever goes back to the town to get more regen, he is going to get lane skipped. The Darkseer is going to go beyond the tower, cut creeps, and then his tower is going to pretty much be taken in a matter of minutes.
Money changes hands.
Ever since that Witch Doctor getting first blood, oh, nice acting from Execration, but not enough to actually get the bounty on her. Juggernaut though, even though he has the better CS, kind of still getting pressured from Abed, it seems. Yeah, they possibly made a communication call where Juggernaut wanted to kill this Invoker again. Over at mid, I think Invoker is in a lot of trouble based on his HP dropping. Nice last auto attack there. It looked like he needed a crit to kill the Invoker, but a regular attack did the job just fine.
No.
Juggernaut actually is level 6 now, meaning if Bounty Hunter makes another rotation, that's going to be such an easy kill for TnC. I don't think Invoker has Wex yet, because it's so early on. Actually, he does, never mind. I saw him use Alacrity early on. Sunstrike going to be off the mark, unfortunately. That would have been an easy kill. Astral under the tower, nice. Juggernaut. Oh, though those lucky bounces actually ignored that creep next to Invoker and only bounced to Invoker. TnC is not by a convincing margin, but they're just slightly better than Execration right now in terms of execution, and it's creating such a big lead. The biggest problem for Execration so far, I think, is this Ember Spirit, who is only level 3. He's going to be level 4 soon, but at 6 minutes, that's definitely not the level that you expect for your carry. Especially a hero like Ember Spirit, you just wanted him to get that fast level 6. Levels are kind of more important than gold for Ember Spirit, so he can start moving around the map more efficiently. Pushing out waves, leaving a remnant, farming the jungle, going back to town, getting regen, coming back. But at this rate, it's not even just the Ember Spirit. His supports are also going to be tied down to this lane to some extent, because Ember Spirit won't be able to lane against the OD by himself. Faceless Void actually didn't get any points into time dilation. I suppose it doesn't really make a difference against the Darkseer, where he needs to just be able to sustain this lane anyway, and Bash is going to help him kill creeps faster, potentially zone out the Darkseer if he comes and tries to use the Ion Shell on himself for harassment. They're sitting behind Invoker. Invoker has died too many times, so they know it's going to be quite risky if Invoker dies again. Here comes a gank. They use a dust, but yeah, they decided not to go for it. This Ember Spirit, ever since they kind of stabilized the lane for TnC, hasn't been able to do it. He's basically an offlane Ember Spirit. Here they go on the Ember Spirit. Looks like he could get the kill on Witch Doctor, but not enough. Oh, what a disaster for Execration. No Sunstrike incoming. I think Faces Void needs to do something for the team. I know he is struggling against the Darkseer right now. He has to be there so that his tower doesn't just get taken for free. But his team is suffering so much right now. And Juggernaut. Oh man, they just used all their mana on Juggernaut, but he's able to get that healing ward and survive. That's going to mean that they can go for a kill again on the mid lane because Lion doesn't have any mana. Invoker is pretty out of mana as well. One Bounty Hunter rotation. Looks like AU is on the way, possibly for the Faces Void. But I don't see how the Darkseer and Bounty Hunter can kill a Faces Void. Yeah, this is so much trouble for Execration. Ember Spirit hasn't really CS for a long time. I bet that CS hasn't changed too much since the 5-minute mark. Vengeful and Lion trying to create something. They have a pretty good suspicion that TnC don't have a lane ward right now because of their sentry. But at the same time, OD is one of the more annoying heroes to gank. When he's so close to this tower, as we saw earlier, he's just going to Astral himself or his teammate, buy so much time for his team to TP in. And Faces Void, I think this is potentially one of the game-changing moments for Execration, where they could come back into this game. But Raven is going to actually leave his lane. They smell something is fishy when a hero like Sam H, his Darkseer, is in this lane, just pressuring the tower at full force, and no one responds to it. They're going to be like, yeah, they're gonna go gank our safe lane. Because our mid hero is a Juggernaut, meaning he can also buy so much time by spinning or just invade the gank outright. Good read from TnC.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Ember Spirit did get some much needed gold from that tower kill, but they're still gonna have to deal with the fact that TnC has more control over the map. This Darkseer is so farmed. 92 CS at 11 minutes. He has that mech, just doesn't need to have the mana. He has money to buy the arcane boots.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Faces Void and Lion at top, potentially waiting for the OD to show himself, but do they actually have DPS to kill him? Lion does not have Finger of Death. They do have Sunstrike, but Faces Void with those items, I don't see him doing too much damage. Meanwhile, the bottom tower taken by Teehee. Oh, he actually didn't level crit at all. Interesting. Invoker went for a phase boots and Aquila. No Hand of Midas this game. Kind of interesting because I think even if if he's having a good game, he'll just go anyway, but going to go into late hands of Midas. He probably felt that he needed the face boots to somehow deal with the Juggernaut's aggression. He was just getting... He died 3 times before the 10-minute mark. So, opting to go for a safety over the Midas. He still is going to go for the Midas, but Bounty Hunter dead. Nice gank from Execration, but honestly, there are better targets out there. Not saying that it's easy, because OD was playing super safe. He seemed to know exactly what Execration wanted to do. They do have Chrono though, and they're just gonna press the issue on to TnC. But TnC, they're gonna get a Blink Dagger onto Juggernaut. Ion Shell, Blade Fury. That is a dirty combo. Just look at Invoker dying from 1 Blade Fury. They're just gonna run at Execration. They have the mech. They're not too scared of anything. Oh, nice time walk from Tim's. The Faceless Void.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It looked like Execration had, like, after that kill onto the Bounty Hunter, they still had the Chrono. They thought they could fight into it. Perhaps they could have, but the Juggernaut Blink Dagger on top of the Ion Shell completely just one-shotted the one skill, the Invoker, meaning they lost one of their main DPS sources. All Ion Shell, Blade Fury again. This combo is so dirty. All Lion's dead. Poor Lion. I think this game is so TnC right now. Their aggression, their cute tricks. Ember's Spirit. He wanted the tower so badly. Bounty Rune going to be picked up by the Juggernaut. Yep. Nope. They're gonna give it to the OD. Interesting. I thought the Juggernaut would also be that he would be an equally good target to give, because right now Blade Fury is very efficient because of the Ion Shell and because Execration heroes aren't too strong right now. But I suppose on the OD you can have a lower cooldown on the Sanity's Eclipse. Execration thinking that TnC are rushing, or possibly thinking of going themselves. It looks like they didn't want to really go themselves. They just didn't want to give TnC a free Aegis. However, TnC do smoke now. Perhaps they're thinking Aegis? Probably not. They want to get a pick off. It's so easy at this point. Nice Chrono, but they don't have the damage to follow up on. This Juggernaut with Ion Shell is doing so much work. Oh, Ember Spirit. He doesn't have enough mana. I think TnC should, yeah, they're just gonna go Roche here. Execration have to do something to deal with this Juggernaut spin. The Juggernaut seems to just go on the Invoker every single time with the Ion Shell. Either Venge needs to just swap him, or I guess the Chrono would be hard because Juggernaut would be right next to the Invoker. So swap the Invoker. Oh, that was so close to being a steal, but whatever, that kind of stuff shouldn't really happen. Juggernaut with the Aegis. And actually, Bounty Hunter didn't go for Meta Boots. Interesting. He went for Tranquils and Ether Lens.
Dire's middle tower has
I'm
been
wondering
denied.
if the extra range on track is really necessary, seeing as how track
Radiant's
range
middle
is so
tower
long
is under
already.
attack. Dire's top tower is under
Maybe the
attack.
shuriken range could make a difference. TnC not gonna really give Execration the time that they would probably like, seeing as how this game has turned out to be quite one-sided.
Dire's top tower is under
2 to
attack.
14. A lot of the domination from TnC has come off the back of Ion Shell Juggernaut right now, but for high ground we can see it actually being kind of slow. With Ember Spirit being so far away from Battle Fury, however, Execration themselves are not going to have the easiest time defending. Another Blink Dagger, presumably for Raven on the OD. Chrono used, but Juggernaut, oh, he's going to, yep. This is why Void against OD is so annoying. Aegis has been expended, but they are going to be able to take down this tier 3 and a healing ward back up. Without Chrono, this is going to be quite hard for Execration to defend. They haven't really used anything on the Juggernaut. Here comes a... Oh my god, the paralyzing cast from Witch Doctor is so good.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack. Dire's bottom tower is
Last
under
game,
attack.
when Execration took TnC's bottom racks around the early 20-minute mark, I thought that was fast, but this time TnC are just
Dire's
shooting it
bottom
right
tower
back
is
at
under
Execration. Sub 19-minute
Radiant's middle
racks
barracks has fallen.
with an unlikely high ground, early high ground lineup too. Just shows how much domination they can get to with the right heroes and transition into high ground. Have to be careful there, Teehee. You don't have Aegis, but gets saved by his good buddy
Radiant's bottom tower
Raven.
is under
GG is called.
attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Well played by TnC.
Dire victory.
Score is 2 to 22. Kind of sums up the game right now, because TnC, they just yeah, I think this game was a good showcase of TnC's classic TnC Dota. They just play very aggressively with any heroes that they are dealt with. Their drafter deals their players, and early game, I felt like the aggro from Execration was kind of forced. They went aggro with the Ember Spirit, thinking there's a roaming bounty hunter. It's gonna potentially be a 3-on-2, but Ember Spirit kind of needs the levels more than winning the lane for his team, because he was level 4 at around 8-9 minutes, which is far from ideal. Yeah, we'll go back to game 3 in just a few minutes. Catch you after the break.